Hello, I'm John Lynn, the founder and chief editor of Healthcare IT Today. And today I'm excited to be sitting down with two experts from Dell Technologies to talk about cloud in healthcare. First up, we have Clark LeFavour. He's Senior Director of Systems Engineering at Dell Technologies. Hello, Clark. How are you doing?
I'm great, John. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And we also have David Sarson. He's Global Alliance Manager of Healthcare Multi-Cloud at Dell Technologies. Welcome, David.
Hey, John, great to be here.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to talk about cloud right now because I think it's become really an important topic as we've all gone remote. So I think we'll have a great discussion. But before we get to that, David, do you want to give us a little intro about Dell Technologies? I mean, I think we all know Dell Computers, but what's Dell Technologies doing in healthcare?
Yeah, so we've been in healthcare for a number of decades. We've been driving a lot of the technical solutions behind healthcare, using obviously our best products around the compute network storage side. But now we're also, over the past 10 to 20 years, been putting together the healthcare solutions. So we have a whole host of people like Clark and myself that are working in the healthcare field, working to get solutions that aren't just technically at the forefront of the market, but also incorporating those healthcare needs around the specific market in healthcare.
Awesome. Yeah, I found it's really important that a provider like you really understands healthcare. It's such a different beast. So, I talk to a lot of healthcare organizations and I hear a lot of them saying, yeah, we're moving to the cloud. And we see a lot of different strategies that are happening. But what do you see really, impacting the marketplace in this move to cloud? There's talk of hybrid cloud. And really, how has COVID-19 even impacted this? Has it impacted it for good or bad? David, you want to start and then we'll go to Clark?
Yeah, certainly. We definitely have seen an impact on the COVID-19 solution or problems that have been out there. And what we're working with our customers very closely, finding those solutions both from work at home issues as well as around the other needs in the data centers and for application access in all of the changes that are going on. When it comes to the cloud itself, we're seeing a lot of impact just around trying to get out of that data center business, having our customers just focus on their solutions. And what we're finding is that a great landing place is with VMware and VMware Cloud Foundation, which gives them the known tools, those enterprise-ready tools that are already being used in most of the data centers in healthcare organizations, both payer and provider, and being able to use the bursting or elasticity that might be needed to use the benefits of the public cloud that are out there, and using those, but also keeping the on-premise solution in some type of hybrid environment. When you add in then the edge solutions that are out there, that also brings up the need to integrate all of those pieces. And that's what we're finding a lot of our healthcare customers are landing is in that hybrid environment.
Yeah, and
Great.
we
Clark,
like to,
anything to add?
yeah, we like to, try to work with our healthcare providers to really make sure that they have, what we'll say, their in-house systems in order. So before you can really move to the cloud, they need to understand where their systems are today, where their applications are today, what workloads are cloud ready, are appropriate for the cloud. And then we help work with those customers to make sure that we get the right workload at the right location.
That's great. I mean, I think it is key to having an effective cloud strategy is actually having a strategy. I don't know how many healthcare organizations have kind of done it one-off projects, and I think that's where maybe a big part of the challenge many of them face is that you need to have that strategy, and those that have a strategy have really thrived in this COVID-19 environment where they need to scale up or scale down. Some other people, ask me like, is it safe? And I think now there's I talk to my security professional and say, well, now there's all sorts of endpoints every single home where people are working from. Is cloud secure? Is it HIPAA compliant? Is it safe? What do you think, Clark?
Yeah, overall, we feel it's very safe. If you take a look at Dell Technologies, as David was saying, as an end-to-end provider, we look at securing the endpoints. We look to securing all the way through the application with our SAB strategic business, which is VMware, part of the Dell Technologies family. we can secure those endpoints and make sure that those applications are completely secure from the clinician side all the way through to the data center side into the cloud. David, I'll let you chime in.
Yeah, I remember just some conversations I had with a number of customers globally, just around security about 3 years ago, especially around what was called shadow IT and the sort of development of all of people going out with credit cards and getting spun up systems and then uploading data, and it's not really in your secure environment. What we're finding is a lot of the hybrid environments give you the ability to put that security and those security elements that you have on premise and just extend them out into the cloud, into that robust environment, using that sort of centered approach. And that's something that's come back, taking away that problem of shadow IT, of just growth without real knowledge of where the data is, or the security pieces. There are many clouds out there that are HIPAA compliant. And I think as we start moving forward in the next few years, we're going to continue that trend where, as Clark said earlier, it's just a matter of figuring out where those workloads need to be and where the right data at the right time at the right speed is needed.
Yeah, and I wonder if some sort of virtual desktop solution isn't going to be essential to every healthcare organization, so that their kids can play Roblox, but you can still create a secure environment at home. I know that's the reality in my house, because of this new world we're living in. So that's really interesting. But you bring up an interesting point too around what is possible in the cloud. Where are we at in that regard? I know I've heard a lot for a long time that cloud was too expensive for large data sets. For example, say a VNA or a PAC system that has huge files. Is that true that the data sets are too large and it's still better to do on site, or what are you seeing kind of the evolution there as far as being able to support large data sets in the cloud?
Yeah, I would say that let's divide into two different camps as far as the data, right? One would be an EMR strategy, which is low latency as necessary, small files, but that latency is, you just can't avoid, you can't have a long lag with any type of information exchange. On the large data sets around VNA and PACS, that would be more around the image side. There are some challenges there. There are persistent files, and then to get them out into the cloud, one thing that's not around expense, but just time, is moving those files out into the cloud. And then there is the expense of it and keeping it out in the cloud. But it all boils down to the value, right? And our strategy is very, very simple, which is let's focus on data first and then cloud smart. And it gets back to that sort of answer of, we want to make sure you have the right data at the right time. So we are really focused on when it comes to the data, whether it's object, file, or block, how that data is interacting with applications, how in healthcare specifically, how many data sets are being called on based on the different files or calls that are made to the data. Obviously, there are many applications out there that are very small, that it's just a matter of linking to other data sets to give the solution to the end user. And so we really want to be clear that with looking at a data first strategy, that's going to give that ability to go to the cloud when it's smart to go to the cloud, use a VMware vCloud Foundation on-prem, in the cloud as well. There are many, many ways to do it, but the key is being able to have that right workload at the right time.
Yeah, to add on to that is, we talked before about the edge to core to cloud, and John, you mentioned specifically VNA. And if you take a look at image sets, there are certain parts of imaging. If you have a patient coming in for a scan or an appointment, you want to make sure that those images are close by. Those doctors want a very quick refresh time when they go to their workstation and try to take a look at an image. And it's best to have those closer to the clinicians. But there's other data that you may have that's retained archive type data of images that are just very large, taking up a lot of storage space in your data center. Those are perfect candidates to put into the cloud, assuming that you have the security that we talked about earlier. But if they go to the right place in the cloud, they're not touched that often. it's going to probably be the most cost effective and likewise performance effective because you're getting them out of the way of your other files in the application set.
And John, if I could just add on to that, one of the things that we've done over the past 20 years at Dell EMC has been getting a tiered environment around all of the different layers of data that you have. And what's exciting to me is we're able to take that same idea of tiering and bring it to the cloud and on-prem and edge, where we're able to bring that data to the right place. I've worked with a number of customers all over that are doing exactly that. And once you get the recipe right, then the users are quite frankly thrilled with getting the right data when they need it with the patients at the right time.
When it feels like it, I mean, it's interesting that you both kind of mentioned the latency problem, which I think is the fear, maybe the biggest fear that many in an organization have about the cloud. I think security and then latency, i.e., will I get the data that I need at the bedside at the moment that I need it? Like, it feels to me like cloud has solved that problem in most situations. I imagine there could be some rural or a few environments where maybe that's not true. Is that true from a latency perspective, that most of the solutions you can solve and still store it in the cloud? Or you know, or do you really need that kind of hybrid environment for it? You know, what are you seeing as far as latency in that regard, David?
Yeah, I think you definitely need a hybrid environment. And the reason I say it is the latency, breaking it up into those two areas of EMR and PACS VNAs. Let's just take EMR, for example. You need that latency because you're dealing with bedside care. It's very important to know the medications that are coming on an hourly basis, if not sooner, based on when the doctor comes in. So I think what we're seeing is latency is a huge issue as far as having the data close to the bedside. And that's one of the reasons why we see the hybrid cloud being taken on so quickly, is that it's not about just turning a switch over and having everything in the cloud, because then you're frankly as good as your network, and that's it. Once the network goes down, you're done with dealing with those applications. So there's a whole host of areas around DR, backup, and concerns there, which Dell Technologies has addressed very, very well, I think. So we're able to look at the whole environment and life cycle of the data and the applications and the use cases, so that we're able to focus on when the latency, when it's not as important for someone, say for an image that's 3 years old, versus a bedside medication that's needed at a certain time every day.
Yeah, I would say that we see most of our EMR vendors are hybrid. Even if they have a cloud offering, or anyone who offers a cloud, there is a portion of the infrastructure that lives typically at the provider's site. And as David said, that could be for HA, for high availability purposes, but mostly it's because of latency. And you think of a large EMR, the data that's required and the speed that's required to make sure that those medical records are updated and that information gets passed around within the facility. You can't depend on the latencies that you get from a pure cloud environment. So that's why hybrid is so big. That's why multi-cloud is really a big part of what our customers are looking at and what we're focused on as Dell Technologies.
Right. I mean, you know, as we look into the future, which I think that's what a lot of, you know, progressive leaders in health IT organizations are doing, you know, we got challenges ahead, you know, and I think, you know, just like this, you know, this challenge that we face now, we didn't expect it. So how should the cloud strategy really play into an organization's preparation for the future? And what should they be doing to really prepare for that future?
Yeah, I would say that the most important thing is to have a flexibility around whatever you're developing. And having that flexibility gives you that ability to be nimble and quick when we need to be as a healthcare organization, whether you're a payer, provider. There's a whole host of challenges that we know, and then there's a whole bunch more that we don't. And I think the best thing to have is that flexibility. And the reason that we're so focused on that hybrid cloud is that it gives that ability to give a consistent operating model through all of the different areas of cloud, whether it's on-prem, off-prem, or on the edge, and you're able to see a clarity around the solutions that are needed and clearly opening up different levers based on what those needs are. If there's a need in a specific area, whether it's geographically defined as being needed immediately, or whether it's just the ability to burst because some application of research, for example, is being hammered on because digital pathology is the piece that the customer is looking at, saying, we really need to get a solution here. That's what the biggest strength, I think, at Dell Technologies is we're able to give that to our customers.
Yeah, it's around flexibility, as David said, and choice, right? We want to make sure that our customers have choice. They have the flexibility to move the workloads to the right location based on cost, based on performance. We talked about latency, we talked about security. And if the right constructs are built, the right control planes, being able to manage these things, be able to control them, ultimately, we provide that flexibility by having that built into our products.
That's great, Clark. Are there some examples where you've built that flexibility for customers? I mean, the obvious one to me seems scaling up the virtual desktops to be able to be do from home. Are there some other examples, and maybe is that even a good example that you've seen in healthcare, that you've helped them build flexibility? What use cases are you seeing where flexibility looks like it will be important?
Sure, I'll start, and then David can add some too. But absolutely, in our multi-cloud environment, the ability to have Cloud Foundations, our VMware product, that really becomes the standard that many providers, payers have in-house today. Their staff knows how to manage and control that. But at the same time, in an environment where you need that flexibility, they can move those workloads, whether it be up to Amazon AWS, so the VMware Cloud on AWS, be able to move those workloads around. And we provide that flexibility today. We found many organizations being able to take care of that for bursting. All of a sudden you have extra workloads, you need test dev. There's lots of many HIT workloads that are well suited for burst mode or DR or backup. And having that control plane of VMware or vCenter to be able to control your virtual machines, be able to move them around, has been very, very helpful for many organizations that we support in healthcare. David?
Yeah, I think some of the applications that are out there that are being used can get very popular at a certain time. And with that popularity comes an immense amount of growth. And with that growth, very, very difficult to manage that via ordering it on-prem only and building a system out, having it integrated, having it validated when things go to scale, what that looks like. And what we're finding is by keeping data close to many of the mega clouds that are out there, using their algorithms, which again, we don't know exactly what ones are going to be developed and which ones are going to take off and do really well and really help in the healthcare process. That's really one of the benefits of having that capability of capturing a growth cycle that goes in a tangent very quickly, being able to get that captured on a foundational compute network storage sort of structure, and having then the ability to scale that up, scale it down, really seamlessly without losing any of the operational model where you have to go to outside of your own organization, learn new tools, learn new methods, and learn new names. I know it sounds somewhat silly, but just learning about all the different clouds that are out there and what each one does differently. I think that's one of the real benefits that I can see.
Awesome. So for those watching who want to learn more about Dell Technologies, where can they go to find out more?
Best place is delltechnologies.com/healthcare. And they can also reach out to Clark or myself. We'd be happy to help however we can.
Awesome. Well, Clark and David, it's really been a great discussion. I appreciate you helping us understand more about what's happening with cloud and healthcare, and thanks for sitting down with me today. I'm John Lynn from healthcareittoday.com. Thanks for watching.